What's going on, everyone? I'm just a typical, average American here today to react and learn about how most Americans don't know anything about Canada. And it's a bit embarrassing, to be honest. So let's shine a big spotlight on the subject, shall we? So today, I want to take a look at this Reddit discussion where somebody asked, what personal experience made you realize that people knew so little about Canada? And by people, we really are talking about Americans here. And as an American myself, I can absolutely confirm that this is true. Most of us here simply don't get any exposure to Canadian culture. So today, I thought it would be fun, entertaining, possibly traumatic to take a look at some of these stories about Canadians interacting with very ignorant Americans. So let's take a look here, starting with my story is a recent trip to the States. Oh, the States. Is that what you call it? The States? I feel like no one in America calls it the States. I feel like people outside I like you can hear right now. I'm saying America. That's my anyway. That's a the states. I've never called it the states in my entire life. Anyway, to enter this bar, we needed to bring our passports, and the security at the door looked at our passport, absolutely bewildered. Really? Called over to his coworkers. They stared at it, confused. They're just staring at this Canada. What? Huh? What is it? Do they not know what a passport is? Do they not know what Canada is? Like, I love this word, bewildered. I can absolutely imagine this. The American security at the door. Then they called over the management. They had to call the management. And the manager asked us if it was fake. Of all the things to fake, like, a lot of Americans fake their ID, their driver's license, their age to buy alcohol. But to fake a Canadian passport, maybe that's like really big brain. That's like a 200 IQ move to do. They'll never expect it. Like, who shows up pretending to be a Canadian? And then they'll sell you all the beer you want, maybe. Anyway, giving me some ideas. We stood there for 20 minutes as they went through our passport. That we legit told them we're Canadian, and they still were very confused. Wow, this is actually like kind of shocking for me even. Like, I know a lot of Americans don't like know a lot about Canada. We have some stereotypes that we kind of rely on as our go-to about what Canada is all about. Cold, there's moose, maple syrup, that kind of thing. But to go as far as to not understand what a Canadian identification is just like, really? Even I'm surprised at this. As they finally let us in, the group of security checking our passports were Googling what a Canadian passport looks like. Goodness. I mean, why didn't they do that at the very beginning? You know, part of it almost makes sense to me because I'm American. I can think like an American. Most Americans don't travel outside of the United States. Maybe ever in our entire lives. There's so much in the United States. There's a lot of states to visit. I've only been to like 8 of them max. So there's 42 I've never been to. I could spend my whole life traveling the United States, and it'd probably take my whole life. So a lot of Americans don't even bother having a passport. Maybe that's what this is kind of about. These are some Americans who aren't really familiar with a passport as an identification. Then they just throw the Canadian thing, and they're like, whoa, whoa, Passport. Canada? What is that? Is that a real place? Can we Google this? It's embarrassing no matter how you cut it. What else? Some more stories here. Let's go. When I was around 11, we went to Disneyland. Canadian and Disneyland. Here we go. There we ended up in a conversation with an American family. And their father asked if we really had to get around by snowmobile up in Canada. Yeah, I mean, I'm telling you, I'm not joking when I say this is the baseline knowledge that most Americans have. That Canada is always cold, always winter, always snow. You get around by snowmobiles. You live inside of igloos. The whole shebang. Uh, my dad looked at him and told him that no, we don't get around by snowmobile. That is a common misconception. Is that? Do Canadians have to deal with this like a lot? Maybe if you come into the United States, you probably do, for it to be a common misconception. Then he said that gas actually freezes up in Canada, and we have to make do with dog sleds. The family totally believed it. I believe that they believed it. The gas freezes in Canada. Yeah, no snowmobiles. No, the gas freezes. Like, doesn't it have to be like negative 100 for gas to freeze or something? You make do with dog sleds, and they bought it. That is the perfect response to this kind of situation, I think. They're still thinking that to this day. They're telling that this is how it spreads. They're telling all their American friends. They're like, yeah, I met a Canadian. They get around by dog sled, not the snowmobile. And we're like, oh, and then we spread it. In 1986, I worked for the summer at Expo 86. I'm not sure what that is. But anyway, it was a huge deal at the time, and there were millions of American tourists. These are American tourists in Canada. Okay. I was asked 3 times, is this money good off-site? What? At first I couldn't understand, but apparently they thought they had bought some kind of amusement park currency instead of Canadian dollars. Oh my God. That's an insult. Like, let's be honest. For Canadian, that's an insult. I actually think Canadian money looks really cool. I did a video a long time ago about Canadian money, and it's really cool. It's made out of like a high-tech material, not like the crappy paper our money is on. It has colors, good pictures, like plastic security features, and but let's be honest, most Americans have never looked it up, never seen Canadian money in real life, don't know what it looks like, and if I saw it for the very first time, I would even be confused. But I feel like I would, if I was in Canada, I would get it. I'd be like, Canadian money, cool. Even if I'd never seen it. These Americans thought it was amusement park money, monopoly money, for crying out loud. The 4th time I said, I think it's just park money, and the dad gave me a stack of cash, and oh my God. Canadians in these stories are really taking advantage of the Americans too. It's kind of funny. The 4th time it happened, I said, it's just the park money. And so the dad gave me a stack of his cash and said, give it to someone who might need it. Oh my God. I needed it. Over $700 in real Canadian money. Whoa. Okay. At a certain point, it's like, there's teaching a lesson, and then there's just stealing. I don't care if they thought it was fake money. Like, if it was even $50, it'd be like, okay, fine. You got them. But $700 in Canadian money? Jeez. God. I felt disgusted with myself, but a few ounces of weed spread amongst my friends took care of that. Well, there you go. Okay. $700 went to the weed fund. Okay. He was just paying the idiot tax. But don't steal money from Americans, please. Please. I guess if they just straight up give it to you, but there's something about that situation. It's like,
$700 in Canadian money. That's a lot, right? Anyway, I bartended in a major city, chatting with a table, and come to find out they're all specialist doctors from all over the United States. But here for some conference. Okay, these are doctors. These are people of higher intelligence. However you want to say. They have doctorate degrees, medical degrees. They must be intelligent. The bill time comes, and one of the women, who was a mother Fukin surgeon visiting a major Canadian city and had been here for a week by that time, sees Canadian cash and absolutely loses her mind. It's another one about Canadian money. You mean to tell me you have your own cash money? This American doctor didn't know that there was Canadian dollars. It, it's especially, I'm not shocked Americans don't know that. That might sound like I'm giving Americans like way too much leeway and credit, but that's the standard I have. A lot of Americans, and I think I was one of them like a long time ago. I didn't know what kind of currency Canada used. Now I know it's literally Canadian dollars. And I guess I always imagined it. I never imagined what it would look like, I guess, but the idea that Canada has a different looking currency physically, that didn't blow my mind or anything. So the fact that this American surgeon is like mind blown, that's like, really? Jeez. Yeah. Y'all just don't use American real money? Are they from Texas or something? Y'all don't just use American real money. Is that how they're talking? Our money is real money. Can you give us American back, please? No, we accept it on par and you'll receive Canadian change. I don't just keep a whole till of every foreign currency. What's on par? Well, it means the exchange rate will be 1-to-1 regardless of the dollar value. What's an exchange rate? What? I don't know why I'm giving them this accent, but that's how I imagine it went down. This American doctor didn't know what an exchange rate is? What? She never ended up understanding, really. I just cannot. I just cannot understand their funny money at all. That's what? I lost my mind. A very educated, best and brightest and honestly nice human to have that level of ignorance. I'm shocked as well. Jeez. Apparently, Canadian money just absolutely baffles Americans. I wouldn't have thought that would be the thing to do it. I was in Connecticut and I witnessed a car accident. One of the drivers was starting university the next day, and she mentioned that I had an interesting accent and asked where I was from. Oh, she noticed the Canadian accent. I said, I'm from Vancouver, and she looked confused. Then I said, on the west coast of Canada? And she came back with, Canada has a west coast? What does that mean? What does that even mean? How? Doesn't every country in the planet technically have a western, not a coast, but a western border? A side? What is. Maybe this person thought, like, west of Canada was just Alaska or something weird like that. I don't know. Oh, that's very common. They have no clue that there's a Canada north of Seattle. I mean, for most of my life, I'm going to be very honest. It's embarrassing, but I could not have labeled Vancouver on a map. Like, I had no idea where Vancouver was on a map of Canada. And I'm not like an idiot, I think. Don't comment on that. I'm just like, like I say, a pretty average American, average education. I had no idea where Vancouver was on a map, as sad as that is. But I knew Canada had a west coast. So, an American said to me a couple weeks ago, most of them couldn't tell you if Vermont had a coastline. All right, let's keep going. These are pretty entertaining. I used to know someone who worked as a border guard on a minor crossing point. She told me that the guards had a Second Amendment betting pool. Oh no. Apparently, they got as many as 4 or 5 people in a week trying to cross with their guns because they believed the Constitution applied to all Americans anywhere in the world. Superseding any local laws in other nations, that's horrible. That's embarrassing. That's dangerous. Thinking that when you go to other countries, you aren't under the jurisdiction of the laws of their country, the laws of their land. So you can just go into Canada, bring your AK-47 or whatever. That's scary and obviously incredibly ignorant. So they had a pool going on, a betting on how many Americans they'd catch in a month trying to bring a gun over the border. Because they thought the American Second Amendment to bear arms just applied anywhere. We can just bring a gun anywhere on the planet. Doesn't matter because we're American. Oh my dear goodness, these are getting bad. I was in Detroit for work, and some guy started talking to me. He asked where I was from. And when I said Ontario, he went wild with, oh my God, what a small world. I know a couple from Ontario. How is it over there? Is it freezing all the time? Like it's literally a 10-minute drive. Yeah, so we're talking about Detroit. Yeah, isn't that literally next to Canada? Like literally on the border. And this American thought Ontario, like 10 minutes away, was a different biome, a different like season. It's free. It's just freezing 10 minutes away, but warm in America. Okay. I mean, I'm telling you, a lot of Americans really stick to that stereotype that Canada is cold. That's probably the number one. It's a tie between maple syrup and cold. Canada is actually south of Detroit. Is that true? Is there a part of Canada that's south of Detroit? Maybe that's possible. But that still wouldn't like make up for, oh, it's freezing over there and warm no, it's not enough. No. I had coworkers from Paris set an online meeting for 6 p.m. Oh, this is fine. This is the first one that's not about an American. This is the first one. So we had to go all the way to the bottom to get something not about an American. Oh my God. Okay, we're gonna stick to the American stuff. Talking to Americans on this hour has 22 minutes back in the 90s. What? Talking to Americans on this hour has 22 minutes back in the 90s. You can still find it on YouTube. When I need a really good laugh, I watch a few episodes. What is this? Is this like a TV show in Canada? Talking to Americans or this hour? Oh, that could be funny. I'm going to have to check that out. That's actually maybe a good recommendation. What is this? Let me open this. Let me Google this. Oh, is it going to work? Huh, talking to America. Oh, is this like this is a Rick Mercer thing. I have seen a little bit of that. Okay. That is very funny as well. And cringy. All right. And my father had someone say to him, "You speak pretty good English for a Canadian." I'm dead. I die. That's so bad. That's so bad. Unless you're from like Quebec and you speak French, then that's the one time you can be like, I speak pretty good English. But that's not what they meant. That's not what they meant. I must admit, however, we take glee in perpetuating the stereotypes and misinformation. A friend spent a summer in Rome, Georgia, with his aunt and uncle and took delight in telling his cousin's American friends about dog sledding to school and having to carry a rifle because of polar bears. We live in Ontario. Yeah. When in doubt, just start spouting whatever to the Americans and we will eat it up. You speak pretty good English for a Canadian. That's That's what we need to end on because I don't think I can handle anymore. That's bad. This this was very, very entertaining and also eye-opening. Like, it still shocks me to this day, these stories of American ignorance about Canada. Canada, you're literally our neighbor. Like, you border us. Uh, you know, unfortunately, right now, there's tension between the Canada US relationship with the news and the tariffs and the Trump and all that. But putting that aside, we have a great, wonderful relationship. So it's sad to me, Americans, like, I don't know, maybe we're just stuck in our own little bubble here. That's definitely true. So I enjoyed, kind of, hearing these stories. They were funny, if nothing else. So anyway, if you enjoyed this, feel free to give this video a like or leave a comment. If you're Canadian and you have any stories about interacting with Americans and American ignorance about Canada or any thoughts about this, that'd be really fun to hear about. And if you're interested in more videos like this, me reacting to Canada and learning about Canadian culture, feel free to subscribe for more. And until then, thanks for watching, and see you next time.